What happens when fake gangsters are faced with real prison time? These are 3 never-before-seen examples of when wannabe gangsters realizing they'll be serving prison time, starting with the case of 18-year-old Conrad Trojes, who in September of 2010 was leaving school when he was approached by a man holding a handgun. Conrad was ordered to take off his bag and hand it over, but when he refused, he was shot in the chest by the man. Miraculously, Conrad managed to stumble away from the scene and call for help. For collapsing and dying on the spot, the suspect fled immediately, but was later identified as Tavian Wilcox, who was brought in for attempted murder. As it turns out, he wasn't all that tough in the interrogation room.
Alright, here's the deal. You know something else happened. I don't sit here and talk to you without knowing what the deal is, alright? We've been talking to people, we've been interviewing people, we've been showing people pictures, we've been looking at video. I didn't bring you up here because you weren't wearing your seatbelt, okay? You got arrested for a burglary before and they didn't even bring you up here. Obviously, it's something a little more serious.
Wilcox is trying to remain calm and pretend as though he's got no idea what this is all about.
Little does he know.
His getaway driver had also been apprehended and confessed to everything. Now the detective just has to find a way to get him to confess as well.
This is going to go one of 2 ways. You're either going to be a guy who made a mistake, hanging around the wrong place, the wrong time, did something dumb, or you're going to be a guy that goes out and likes to shoot people for fun, okay? Listen, and before you say anything, I think you're a guy that made a mistake. I know you were there, okay? I know what happened. I've talked to the victim. The victims picked you out of a photo lineup and said, that's the guy that shot me, okay? Here's the deal. I don't think you shot that guy because you're a bad person. You didn't mean to kill that guy, okay? What happened was you were just trying to snatch his backpack. He started fighting with you, and you got scared.
So y'all saying I shot someone?
I know you shot somebody.
Imagine you're an 18-year-old kid who ended up shooting and killing an innocent civilian and got in over their head. No matter who you are, a feeling that'll only be amplified when a police officer asserts that they know exactly what happened. You'll be feeling scared. Wilcox will be feeling rattled now. He's slumped over in his chair as the cop talks, implying he's interested in what the cop is saying. And as soon as he's allowed to talk, all his responses sound confused and even bewildered. The cop knows he has him on the back foot now. He just needs to close it out.
You're 18, right? You're 18, yes?
Yeah.
This is where you need to stand up and be a man and admit you made a mistake. I know you weren't trying to kill that guy. I know that, because you're not the kind of guy that does that. You panicked, you got scared, you got in over your head. The victim's making you out to be a stone cold, just straight up thug killer. Guy that doesn't give a about anybody else, alright?
I could've stayed big late for this shit, man.
If you keep going down the path you're going down, telling me you didn't have anything to do with it, it's not you, who are people going to believe? Are they going to believe you, or are they going to believe the victim? They're going to have to believe the victim, because you didn't give me your side of the story.
The detective is using the facts that he knows. Wilcox is just in over his head, but is using language in such a way that makes him feel like he's accused of being this cold-blooded monster. Wilcox is being pushed into a corner. His reactions to this prove just how well this technique is working. He rubs his head in a pacifying behavior that shows how stressed he is and stares at the ground, implying shame.
A guy that sits there like you is not a guy that goes around and kills people. You understand what I'm saying? You have remorse. You're sorry. I can see it on you. You just need to take that next step. What happened in that parking lot? Did you guys plan it? Or did it just happen?
Trying to back.
Huh?
They try to back
I can't. What'd you say?
They try to back jail.
Don't, here, remember how we talked about that? Don't think about that. That's the least of your concerns right now.
Wilcox starts to cry in a breakdown that's far from gangster and laments on how he absolutely can't go back to jail. The detective uses this moment of vulnerability to press him further and tells him he has one last opportunity to be honest and let everybody know that he isn't the monster they think he is.
Do you say, stop hitting me or I'm gonna shoot you? Anything like that?
I was like, I had my hand like right here.
No, you had your left hand like up against him?
Yeah.
Trying to push him away?
I was trying to make him stop hitting me.
Where was the gun?
In my pocket.
Which pocket?
This one.
How many times did you shoot? What happened after you pulled the trigger? Did he fall down or
No.
was he was still standing up? Where'd you hit him?
I didn't even know I hit him.
Okay. So you fired that one round. What happened?
It froze up.
He just froze up.
And just like that, Tavian Wilcox had confessed to shooting Conrad Tohan and was sentenced to life in prison, all over a school bag. But while he'll be spending the rest of his life in prison, Demetrius Cox wasn't so lucky. Throughout the beginning of 2020, a war began to break out between rival gangs 438 and AFNF. Many shootings were reported, with dozens of deaths attributed to just these two gangs. One of these occurred on the 14th of April. Shots were fired at a house party in Davenport, Florida, resulting in the death of 20-year-old Wolf Luma. The killer was identified almost immediately as Demetrius Cox, also 20 years old. 2 weeks later, Cox was brought in on the suspicion of murder, and an interrogation began, ending in one of the most shocking moments in interrogation history.
Dang, dude.
Sir, how you doing?
You can shake my hand.
I can.
And I didn't shake your hand before because we weren't able to, but now we can, right?
Open and close.
Yes, sir. Number one, I gotta tell you, I'm pretty impressed of the way just overall, your persona as it is.
Yes,
so I appreciate the respect. It's gonna be given right back to you, okay?
Okay.
Cox starts the interrogation out respectfully, but as the interview continues, he begins to annoy the detective by withholding information that could get members of his gang into trouble. This type of loyalty is extremely common in these types of cases, but just a few minutes later, it can be seen to work against you.
I'm not saying you went there for the wrong reasons. However, man, I tell you one thing. You know how they say like victims, and suspects, things like that? I thought that you were a victim.
Sure I am, but now y'all make it like I'm a suspect.
No. I thought you were a
crazy.
victim. I thought you were a victim, and I thought that you were gonna give us the justification, the explanation for what happened.
Listen.
But you come in here and you can't even with little details like that. Like, who cares? If Papa Jay's there, why can't you just be honest and say, yeah, he was there? So
We hung out.
So,
But I got another question
what's
for you.
so like hard about the truth?
What's notable about this case, though, is that the cop actually isn't entirely certain that Cox is the shooter. As Cox points out earlier, most of the proof in the case is hearsay, and detectives could face difficulty using it in court. This is why Cox is in the room to begin with. If they could get a confession, it'd make their jobs a whole lot easier. But Cox isn't giving in.
Okay, listen. If you want to tell me what happened, I'm all ears, man.
I just tried to tell you what happened. We watched.
Look at me in my face. Look at me in my face.
You not.
If you tell me the truth, I will believe you. But there's an explanation for what happened.
So you trying to say I'm the explanation or something? That's what I'm asking.
It's like you're hearing me, but you're not listening to me. Listen to me.
I'm listening to you, but you're not letting me. You gotta break it down for me. Please just break it down.
Listen to me. Okay. I think that you might have been a victim. But I cannot believe a victim when they leave little things out, little details about that night.
Well,
okay?
Mister, I told you all I know.
Some bad happened, man. Some bad.
I understand what
and
you're
I don't
saying.
think that you forced it. I don't think that you or your buddies or anybody else, well, maybe you're running your mouth a little bit, but it wasn't justified what happened, okay?
Eventually, the detective decides that he's not going to get anything more out of Cox and ends the interrogation. But that's not where the case finishes. In fact, the most compelling yet tragic part occurred just hours after the interrogation took place. Later that day, Cox was released on bail, but 11 hours later, he was shot and killed by another gang member, meaning if he had actually confessed, he might have spared his own life, even if it meant serving that life in prison. But while Cox may have kept his composure during the interrogation and maintained his gangster persona, the same can't be said for Cody Forencam, a gangster whose crime was filled with mistakes and foolishness from the beginning. After his phone was taken at a convenience store, Cody went on a violent rampage around his neighborhood searching for any clues to the missing device. Surveillance cameras caught him walking past 15-year-old Deshaun Hills, pulling a gun from his backpack, and firing 3 shots at the boy, killing him instantly. Witnesses and surveillance footage helped officers identify Cody almost immediately, and he was promptly brought in for questioning.
As I said, what I just did was the people yesterday, these motherfuckers was able to do this to me. They was able to look at.
Okay. I'll take a look at this in a second.
I'm saying, look how they do me.
Okay.
Look how they do me. They just kicked my mom's door open, man.
Well, they didn't kick your mom's door open.
Yeah, they did, man.
No.
I was on the phone, man, with somebody while it happened, man.
We were there. We were there at your mom.
Come on, man. Like I said, man, I ain't about that.
Okay, you're
I
not.
don't gang bang. I don't do, you know what I mean? I ain't with the guns.
Cody is referring here to a search warrant that police used to enter his mother's home and gather evidence. While his frustration over this is probably coming from a place of truth, he's also using it as a tactic to claim his innocence. This is further supported by the fact that he instantly tells the officer he has no involvement with gangs or firearms. But it won't be long before this front begins to crumble.
We're here because you're involved with this murder. You've told people. That's why you're here. That's why you're not in Minneapolis. Okay? We have talked to people, all right, that have put you there at the scene. There's video of you at the scene.
The whole time.
The whole time. Okay, we know why you're there.
I ain't buying it, man.
You're not buying it. I'm not here to lie to you, though. Why would I lie to you?
I ain't buying it.
You're on video. Okay, people are talking to you. You're talking to them. Okay?
You approach people and talk to them.
On the night of the killing, Cody had been roaming the neighborhood, questioning people if they'd seen who took his phone and aggressively confronting those he suspected. He was also clearly captured on surveillance cameras at various shops and establishments in the Minneapolis area, so any claims he makes now that he was somewhere else are entirely baseless.
Like I said, I ain't like I said.
Cody, all we're trying to do... Here's the thing.
Y'all know it all.
Can I just say something? If I was sitting in your chair and I had...
Dude, I got mercy, dude.
Hold on a second.
I got mercy, dude. Look at this shit.
Sit down.
Look at this shit.
Sit down.
Look at this shit.
Yep, sit down.
Yeah, it's crazy. So,
Just sit down for
I don't even want, like,
Here's
I'm
one
so
thing.
mad.
One thing. Hold on.
I'm so fucking mad right now. No, I was supposed to. PRT, ooh. Then y'all talking about some goofy shit that I don't know about.
It's a murder.
Some goofy shit.
It's a murder.
Some goofy shit. Like I ain't there.
Okay. Well, here's what I'm going to say, just before we go, okay? Was that if I was sitting in your chair and I had two people ask me where I was on a specific day, and they're saying that I did a murder.
That's what Durfee did with me just yesterday.
I'm not talking about Durfee.
I'm saying if you ask me what I ate for dinner, I might not remember.
Take a look at Cody's tone and behavior overall. From the very beginning, he's been defensive and trying to challenge everything the detectives have told him. Instead of calmly hearing out their statements and offering responses to the officers' claims, he either interrupts them or simply says, "I don't believe you," without offering any proof to support himself. If Cody were truly innocent, he'd probably be doing everything possible to stay on the officers' good side and assist them by giving information that might clear his name. And as it turns out, he was just about to start giving information that would land him directly in jail.
Oh, you would have Wally's and boom.
You were by Wally's, absolutely.
I was by Wally's.
You were?
But y'all don't know the story.
Well, tell me.
You motherfucker supposed to be in the motherfucking face, stole my phone, all that stupid shit. That don't mean I pulled the motherfucking trigger. Just because some people say some shit, that's what it is. That's what it is. So y'all gonna go with the you here anyway. I was over at the store, and I got fucking my... That's what that was.
Who jumped you?
I don't, like I said, I don't know. That don't make me no murder. I called my big cousin. My big cousin come get me. What it look like? I said, one was, I don't know. Nothing came of it. You act like can I pull the trigger on somebody?
When did you get jumped, or when did you get your stuff robbed? Cody, so somebody jumped you for your phone, right? Did they get anything else from you? Or did you have money? Did you
Wallet, ID.
Man, check it out. Arguing with tomorrow.
In a burst of more rage, Cody had just placed himself right at the scene of the crime and handed the officers a motive for the killing. Over the next 4 minutes, Cody scrambled to pull himself out of the mess he'd just created, but it was already too late. With the proof they had already gathered, along with what was basically a full admission, Cody was convicted of murder and sentenced to 38 years in prison.